जय गजानन गणेशाय नमस्तुभ्यं हेरम्बाय एकदन्तिने स्वानन्दवासिने तुभ्यं ब्रह्मणस्पतये नमः. With humble pranams to all Paramacharyas, Acharyas, Gurus, let us continue with our discussion on Yoga Sara, the essence of yoga in the part 2 of Vinayaka Rahasyam. Today we shall see a discussion between Skanda, Shiva's son, in the form of a conversation at Kailash. They are all seated there, Munis, Rishis, and many others. Skanda, that is Kartikeya, asks Mahadeva, O Jagannatha, embodiment of Satchidananda, we listened to the Jnanasara, which was incomparable, no doubt. Now I want to know more about the Yogasara, the essence of yoga. Please tell me. Shiva replied. He began right from the very beginning. He said, once in the past, Bhrigu Muni and others had gone to Brahma with the same question. So I too, that is, he too had gone with Bhrigu Muni and others. So I like what he had said at that time. I shall tell you the same thing, what Brahma had told to all of them. So Bhrigu had asked, O Pitamaha, creator of the world, Lord of all people, we find that with passage of time, people form different opinions, as a result of which even the most excellent path which is available for a Vaidika has been destroyed. This is also due to the tendency for enjoyment. That is, people enchanted by Maya, they tend to enjoy with or indulge in the objects, sense objects. And so, as a result, the options available for Vaidikas have reduced. There is a decline in development. O Brahma, Vedic path is the only path of truth. Everything else is illusory. O Lord of Vageshwari, tell us what is the truth, O Prabhu. Brahma replies, the best of yogis had experienced Purna Yoga. They had followed the path, embarked on the path of yoga, and they had achieved Purna Yoga. It is possible even for the others to do it. It is outlined in the book called Yogasara, and I shall tell you about that, the philosophy and practices contained in that book. So he begins the narration saying that knowledge of the path of philosophy is Mahakal's daughter in the form of 4 yugas. The Chaturyuga, the knowledge of the philosophy contained in the Chaturyuga, it's actually manifested as the Mahakal's daughter, as in a form, with a manifested form, embodiment. So this Chaturyugas were 4. That's a time. Mahakal is a time frame, and these Chaturyugas are a time frame. So they are Kruta Yuga, where the nature is truth. Then the Treta Yuga, which is a mixture of Sattva and Rajas. Dwapara Yuga, which is Rajasic in nature, and Kali Yuga, where the people are Tamasic, and so they are mostly wicked. Due to clashes among them, there was a burst in the trajectory, in the flow of this time period, and the orders to the effect was given by Lord Ganesh Brahmanaspati. Because of the clashes among the yugas, among the people in the yugas, the gunas, we had Lord Ganesha Brahmanaspati who had to come into being for controlling all these vignas. So every once in a while after a yuga, such destruction happens. And there is a long period of Mahakala. Kruta Yuga is considered to be dharmic in nature, the beginning, and very satisfying to the souls as such, because even a little joy of the souls can give physical satisfaction. See, the joy doesn't begin with physical and then enter the soul. It's from the soul that the joy comes and then it percolates to the physical satisfaction. From Treta Yuga to Dwapara Yuga, the soul became very sorrowful because of bodily, physical enjoyments. Kali Yuga is said to be a condemned period. A distressed soul in a body causes sorrow to the individual souls, as told by Kruta Yuga Brahma. Ganesh Brahmanaspati. Ganesh Brahmanaspati was the Brahma of Kruta Yuga, the period of creation during the beginning of the universe. Then in the Treta Yuga, the Brahma was Isha, who became God in Dwapara Yuga, who became a god, that is Shiva, in Dwapara Yuga. And Kali Yuga, the Lord of Ghosts, that is Shiva, Kali Yuga, or you can say Aghoras, the Kali Yuga, the Lord of Ghosts, is the deity of the Shudras. So during Kruta Yuga, Pancham was considered the eldest. We had seen earlier, Ganesha is considered the Pancham, that is the Turya aspect of all the other four Ishwaras. And so he was considered the first worship and accepted by all the Vedic authorities also. The 5 devas established in the Turya states were considered equal. So Vigna Nayaka was worshipped for making peace with Mahavigna, because initially from the tamasic state or the ignorant state or from the state of inertia, a number of obstacles manifest, that is in the form of Vignas. So Vigna Nayaka, that is the lord of all these obstacles, was the first worshipped. Then later on, he was born as Shiva's son in Treta Yuga and Dwapara Yuga also. Varenya too had worshipped Shiva's son earlier in Dwapara Yuga. Now, in Kali Yuga, man gives up worshipping him first. That is, they give up worshipping Ganesh Brahmanaspati first. They start doing karma according to their own desires. Slowly, the past glory starts fading away from sight, and earlier when he was a Kruta Yuga Purusha, to whom the morning after all, where all the sandhyas were performed by the bhaktas, the devotees, in fact all people, because all were sattvic in nature. Then later on, the Kruta Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, these periods started separating one by one slowly from that Kruta Yuga. So that Kruta Yuga was almost like a long lengthy period where there was not much change, but then where everything was sattvic in nature. But subsequently, each of the subsequent yugas, because of the intermingling of this qualities, gunas, it started separating one by one. So in those 4 time periods, there were 4 time periods in each of those 3 time periods, which means in the 3 yugas, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga, there were 4 time periods of Kruta Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. So there were in all 12 time periods. So we can say that these were shorter Chatur Yugas within the long, within the entire Treta, Dwapara and Kali Yuga. So in those 3 yugas, there were 4 shorter there were 4 yugas, that is Chatur Yugas. So, so in all, how many yugas will come? 4 into 3, 12. Thus, there became 12 divisions in the 4 yugas. With the passage of time, with the passage of these yugas, dharma also started getting depleted. That is righteousness, the need to do what you are supposed to do. So for gaining supremacy, what started happening was wars started happening on the battlefield. The first killed was Hiranyakashipu, Devantak and Narantak, who had destroyed all dharma, and they were responsible for overturning these three time periods. They were the one who caused this disruption in the time frame, which resulted in these shorter Yuga Kalas. Again in Treta Yuga, there was the Sindhu Daitya Sindhurasur, and Ravana was there during the period of Ramayana. They destroyed Dharma, put an end to all the Sandhya rituals that was being performed in the morning, afternoon, evening, during twilight, and all those things were destroyed by them. They even destroyed Naraka, hell. They resorted to Anarya and Pashanda Tantras. Anarya, that was not pure or not completely Ekadeshiya or single feature focusing on a single supreme deity. There was also Pashanda Marga, Pashanda Tantras, mixed Tantras for destroying Dharma. So especially they caused, this was the reason why Kali entered, the Kali Yuga period entered because of these Pashanda Tantras. So under the orders of Vinayaka, Mahavishnu incarnated as Narasimha during the Kruta Yuga for killing Hiranyakashipu. Then Durga, Ganesha and Rama in Treta Yuga, and Dwapara as well. Gajanana with the Mahavishnu incarnated in Dwapara Yuga as Krishna, Mahavishnu, and Gajanana with the desire to establish Dharma among man in Kali Yuga. He took birth as an Ansh incarnation, part incarnation. He established Dharma in Kali Yuga when he took birth in the house of Parvati and Shiva in Kailash as an Ansh incarnation. He established Dharma in Kali Yuga. So in future also he will be born again time to time as a Kali Dhumra Vinayaka, and will be visible before the final destruction of all the living beings on earth, animal and men on earth. He will establish Dharma and become Lord of the Lokas in future. That is, once the Kali Yuga comes to an entire time period of Brahma comes to an end, he will once again become the Supreme Lord Paramatma in the next of all the Lokas. So at the beginning of Kruta Yuga, the best of Munis arrive from Tapoloka. That is, after destruction or annihilation, again before the creation starts, or just when the creation starts, from the Tapoloka, where the Munis, Rishis are forever existing, they are eternal. They again come and on earth. For uplifting Kruta Yuga, best of Munis arrive, and then they create Vedas and others and re-establish everything as before, and then go back to their positions. Then performing of Sandhya had ended during the period of Kali. Now this Kali here that is referred to are the shorter Kali Yugas that happens in every Chatur Yuga of 12,000 years. 4,800 years are Kruta Yuga, 3,600 Treta Yuga, 2,400 Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga 1,200. Again Kruta Yuga, the smaller cycles within the entire Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga of the cosmos. There are many such intermediary Chatur Yugas. So in this, at that time, every time whenever there is destruction from Tapoloka, Rishis, Munis come on earth and they re-establish the Vedas and everything, and reorganize and make it famous once again. Guneshwara popularized the Dharma and re-established what was destroyed. Vedikas were once again re-established, thereby ending the glory of Kali. Even Sanaka and others who took birth during the rule of Ganaka Rishi, Munishwara, they were of the opinion that they should be destroyed without doubt. That is the wicked people of Kali Yuga. Similarly, due to the influence of the Kali period, the Sandhya after death, that is the after ancestor, whenever a person passes away, the ancestral rites that are conducted, the Sandhya Vandanam that is performed, then the Sandhya Vandanam which used to take place at birth. All this was destroyed in the Kali Yuga. So Ganaka condemned the evil minded on earth, and for establishing these Vedic karmas once again, for establishing the Vedic practices once again in the Treta Yuga, Mudgalacharya was born. Mudgal Rishi was born. Towards the end of Treta Yuga, when the influence of the after the end of Dwapar Yuga, when the Kali's effect starts happening, the evil-minded people still begin once again, start working, start their activities, because by that time a certain degeneration happens. There is contamination as a result of degeneration in the mental mindset of the human beings on earth. This pattern, this repetitive pattern keeps happening in every 12,000 years. So this resulted in the birth of evil-minded, for which Vishnu himself incarnated with his ganas for establishing of the Vedic Dharma, that is during the Dwapara Yuga. Ancestral rites which was stopped by them was again restored. Ganaka, who was expert in the knowledge of Brahma, established the Vedic Dharma on earth. Towards the end of Dwapara Yuga, this Vedic Ansh of Mahavishnu, born as Vaishampayana, he took birth and as Vyasa, and he re-established the Vedas on earth. Then after the end of Dwapar Yuga, when Kali Kala took birth, Kali, the influence of the Kali, that is the evil forces, resulting in the evil-minded people who started taking birth, Gautama and other munis got together and approached Bhrigu Muni for establishment of Vaidikas on earth. Because when everything gets depleted, some support, some power is needed for carrying out the various, at least some good forces are necessary to offset against these evil forces. So Bhrigu Muni and others, the munis got together and approached Bhrigu Muni for establishing Vaidikas on earth. This was after one cycle of Chaturyuga. Then at the end of Dwapara Yuga, the influence of Kali Kala again gave birth to Dvaipayana Krishna Dvaipayana, who established Vedic Shastras and Puranas, which had been depleted earlier. That is, towards the end of the Treta Yuga, evil forces start coming up. So at that time, to restore again in Dwapara Yuga, the Veda Vyasa had to take birth. Then at the dawn of Kali Yuga, Kali Dharma starts its influence and extends its clutches for 3,600 years on earth. The Devas became visible to Munis for the benefit of mankind, gave them the lost knowledge for establishing Vedic Dharma, for spreading the Kali Dharma. The Buddhists, they established Anarya paths of philosophy. Anarya, that is not based on Aryan philosophy, which was based on Vedas. That is what these other faith or paths started coming into existence in Kali Yuga. So it became visible among families without any varnashramas. Those who do not follow the varnashrama dharma, they generally get attracted to these paths. But then there were a small percentage of Vaidikas. They still remain even at the dawn of Kali Yuga. But these Vaidikas, because being fewer in number, they are likely to be influenced by hypocrisy, Pashanda Margas, or hypocrisy generally say one thing and do another. But the percentage may be 1 in 10 lakhs. The number of Vaidikas who are really completely true to their dharma would be very, very few. It is like equivalent to the percentage as given in this Yoga Sara. It is as Brahma is saying, is the percentage may be 1 in 10 lakhs who do sandhya in the middle period, and those who do the ancestral sandhyas, that is kriya karmas, they will be almost 1 in 10 crores. So imagine how many will not be doing any kriya karma at all. So then what happens is that when kriya karma, all these things are not done, which is it offsets, it creates an imbalance in the atmosphere, resulting in unfavorable conditions of even weather, vegetation, plants. The plants don't grow, there's climatic changes. So these all start affecting when these kriya karmas are destroyed. So towards, we can say that the Vedikas almost who did the ancestral rites reduced to 1 in 10 crores. This was the number of Vedikas on earth due to the influence of Kali Kala. Therefore, at the beginning of Krita Yuga, so then what happens in Kali Yuga, if it reduces to such small, that's almost very few in number, then when Krita Yuga comes towards the end of Kali Yuga, when there's complete destruction or there's famine or there is fire, drought or something like that, then in Krita Yuga, the time goes on, time period goes on, no? So the tapu from Tapoloka, the Rishis, Munis, they come on earth for re-establishing the rule of Brahma here, O Munishwara. So each one accepts that branch of knowledge pertaining to a particular yuga. So in that particular, so what happened as far as the Vedic knowledge is concerned, there is something called the Yuga Dharma. According to the nature of the yuga, according to which is more predominant, Sattva or Rajas or Tamas, accordingly people adopt those paths of knowledge and proceed on that. Besides, knowledge based on difference will divert the people. So the knowledge of Upanishads, Vedas are applicable for all times. Other forms of knowledge may get transformed with a passage of time. For example, knowledge of technology, technology related knowledge, the use of minerals, metals, machinery. So this, the type of equipment used in the very ancient times, which was required according to the hunter's stage, the very basic usage was there, but with passage of time, more sophisticated machinery started getting manufactured by man himself. Just as we see today, with the industrialization, we have so much of variety of lathe machines and huge machines. Even in technology, we have a variety of. So this will change. The knowledge gets transformed. Other forms of knowledge, other than knowledge of knowledge itself, knowledge of creation, the manifestation, those of the primordial knowledges, they will remain as it is. That those are contained in the scriptures, Upanishads, Vedas, whereas the other forms of knowledge will keep changing. So the dharma of the man in Krita Yuga was passed on to the Treta Yuga by Gautama Muni. In Dwapar Yuga, it was passed on by the writings of Shankha, which is recollected in Kali Yuga. So you can remember that most of the conversations was between two Parashar. Rishis Shuka, Shaunaka, and all of them, they through conversations, through discussions, passed on to the next yuga this knowledge. So all creations are for the benevolence of the people, and when it is passed on in this Guru Shishya Parampara, they are not eroded. Written down in books or paper may get destroyed, but which is passed on through memory and recollection from memory. It remains in the Chitta Shakti, the Chitta or the Chidakash, in the Chitta matter, mind, consciousness, matter. It remains as memory and it gets passed on with every birth of a human being. So, enlightenment or the philosophy of Dharma is not possible without Vedas or Upanishads. Other kinds of knowledge will divert the people according to their attraction towards the objects, according to the passage of time, whatever is the reality outside in the world. But the sixfold Vedic path was established in the first yuga. But the Mishra Marga of Vedic Tantra came in Treta Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga, the Tantra Marga came, that is, Mishra Marga came in the Treta Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga, the Tantra Marga was prevalent, but in Kali Yuga, we have Pashanda Marga. These four cycles, you can say, this is a cosmic cycle, cosmic yugas, which is mentioned here. Based on eligibility, yoga was considered among other things. This came into being during the yugas, 4 yugas, when the yuga got split into 4. Worshippers of one god, single, that is Ekadeshi, a single deity, were 9, that is 9 paths, you can say. Parshanda Margis were 9, Mishra Margis were 6, and Tantrics were 28. Pashanda was 6 and non-Vedika was 6. This was what perhaps Devarshi narrated for enchanting the Daityas. That is, the non-Vedika, the 6 paths of non-Vedika Marga was perhaps narrated by Devarshi Narada to the Daityas. That is how we had Prahlada and those all, the Bali and all that, they were all in the Daityas who ruled the earth. So, during that time, Narada had initiated Om Namo Narayana to Prahlad and all of them. Whether unintentionally or invisibly or visibly, for the benefit of Shankara, he practiced a path contrary to that of his birth. Perhaps it was for the benevolence of those who are devoid of Varnashrama Dharma. That is why Shankara only, he opposed those who opposed Ekaveda Marga, objecting to only one path. Those who objected to that single, that is only one deity or one supreme Advaita, Shuddha Advaita was there, they got split. A number of viewpoints or number of thought processes arose, which resulted in 64 different doctrines. So this Vedic knowledge was that of the residents from Tapoloka to Munis and Devas of Indrapura. Indra and others, they received this knowledge first from the Munis who came from Tapoloka. It was Indra who spoke about them to Munis in the ancient times. This included Keshava, Surya, Ganesha, and all the other Munis. So when there was no one single god, that was Ganesha Brahmanaspati, then came all these various Ishwaras, so many other gods came. So then they all established the 64 different doctrines. So this included Keshava, Surya, Ganesha. Shambhu heard from the mouth of Vishnu and spread this as the science of enchantment. Then traditionally the sadhaks were followers of Vedic path. No doubt. Everywhere, everybody followed the Vedic path, including Devas, Asuras also. Asuras also followed the Vedic path. Asuras' teacher was Shukracharya. He also taught this path of Vedas to the Asuras. Brahmanaspati plays equally in all, remains unaffected and remains equally in all, remaining them within all of them as an ansh or that spark in the soul of everyone, both Vedikas and Avedikas, those who are not Vedikas as well.